Welcome back to Lingor after a long break. How have you been? Still hanging in there? Good to hear that. So, does anyone in your family have to take the high school or 10th grade entrance exams this year? I've been reading the news from Vietnam and wow, it sounds intense. Over 1 million students are sitting for their national high school graduation exams this month. That's a lot of pressure. But don't worry, we're going to lighten things up with a fun and useful English story. This one is all about exam day emotions, the nerves, the panic, and the surprises. Let's go. And now, let's take a closer look at why this exam season in Vietnam is so intense, and along the way, you'll pick up some new English expressions too. First, let's talk about the numbers. In some cities, there are tens of thousands of students competing for limited spots in public schools. That's what we call a competitive environment. It means everyone is trying hard to succeed. When there are more students than available spots, we say the exam is highly selective. That means only the top scorers can get in. As a result, many students start cramming for exams weeks in advance. To cram means to study a lot in a short time, usually right before a test. Some even say they study until 2 or 3 in the morning. That's really intense. And of course, that much studying often causes test anxiety. That uncomfortable feeling before or during a test when your heart races and your hands sweat. These are what we call high-stakes tests. That means your future really depends on how well you do, whether you graduate or get into your dream school. That's why it's so important to take care of your health too. Get enough sleep, eat something before the test, and don't skip breakfast. And remember, if you're well prepared and keep calm, you might even ace the test. That means doing really well. So, if you're one of the millions studying right now, or cheering on someone who is, I'm sending you a virtual high five. You're awesome, and you've got this. By the way, Vietnam isn't the only country where exams bring stress. Let's look at some of our neighbors. In South Korea, students prepare for the university entrance exam called Sunyung. It's a national event. Planes are grounded during the listening test, and offices open late so students can get to school on time. In Japan, students often attend after-school classes called juku to boost their chances in high school and college exams. Some study until 10 p.m. almost every day. In Thailand, there are national tests too, but many families also invest in private tutoring to compete. So yes, across Asia, exam stress is a shared experience, but each country has its own way of coping. Now, let's zoom out a little and see how things look in some Western countries. In the United States, for example, students don't face national exams to move from middle school to high school. Instead, most students automatically move to the next level based on their school performance. When it comes to college admissions, students may take exams like the SAT or ACT, but these are just one part of their application, not everything. In countries like Finland, students don't even take formal exams until the end of high school. And they're encouraged to focus more on learning, not just test scores. In Germany, after grade 10, students go into different tracks, academic, vocational, or technical, based on their skills and interests. So in many Western countries, the pressure of one single exam isn't as intense as in Asia, though of course, they have their own challenges too. Every system has its pros and cons, but it's clear that Vietnam students are among the most hardworking and resilient out there. And of course, we can't forget the parents. During exam season, many moms and dads become unofficial tutors, nutritionists, and chauffeurs, all in one. Some even take time off work to support their children. That's love in action. Early mornings, late nights, warm meals, and quiet encouragement. Parents go through the exam with their kids, emotionally and physically. So if you're a parent listening to this, thank you. Your presence means more than any score. Alright, before we wrap up, let's take a few minutes to go over some key English expressions we've heard today. First up, to cram for an exam. This means to study a lot in a short time, especially right before the test. Example, I stayed up all night cramming for the math test. Next, test anxiety. This describes the stress or nervousness people feel before or during an exam. Example, she had test anxiety so bad that she forgot everything she studied. Another one, high-stakes test. A test with big consequences, like graduation or university entrance. Example, the national exam is a high-stakes test. It decides your future. Don't forget to ace a test. This means to do extremely well on a test. Example, he studied hard and aced the final exam. And finally, competitive environment. A situation where many people are trying to succeed, often with limited resources. Example, getting into public high school in big cities is a very competitive environment. I hope these examples help you remember the phrases better. Try using them in your own sentences this week. And before we say goodbye, I'd love to hear from you. Do you have any questions about today's episode? Or maybe a personal story about your exam experience? Drop us a comment below or let us know what exam time is like for you or your family. Your stories help us grow this learning community. And who knows? We might feature your comment in our next episode. Thanks again for listening. See you soon on Lingora.